Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
Barbados gets a rating downgrade after the new government announces a debt restructuring plan. That's our top story in Caribbean Newsline, and that's for Monday, June 4. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Nicole Best. Good evening. Just over a week into the Barbados Labour Party taking over the reins of government, the island has been hit with a ratings downgrade that indicates its creditworthiness is poor compared to its regional neighbours. The Trinidad and Tobago-based Caribbean Information and Credit Rating Services Limited, CARICRIS, has lowered the ratings on the government's national debt, and it says that decision was prompted by the decision to suspend debt payments to external commercial creditors, which has triggered a credit rating downgrade by a regional agency. The agency said it simultaneously placed the island on ratings watch. The downgrade followed Prime Minister Mia Mottley announcing last week that she was going to the International Monetary Fund for balance of payment support and would restructure the country's staggering debt. While she received the backing of the social partnership, CARICRIS was not so impressed by the public debt restructuring plan. It says it will be monitoring the situation in Barbados very closely in the coming days and weeks and will seek more information on the planned debt restructuring. And based on that, it will adjust the ratings if necessary. Police in Antigua and Barbuda have slapped 5 human trafficking charges on the operator of a nightclub 4 years after she was freed of 40 similar charges. Police said the operator of Jam Dong nightclub, Cheryl Thompson, has also been accused of 5 counts of debt bondage in relation to human trafficking. The offences allegedly occurred between December 2017 and February 2018. Earlier this year, Thompson was charged with 4 counts of human trafficking following a raid on her establishment in connection with offences that allegedly occurred between November 30th, 2017 and February 9th, 2018. In 2011, the police filed 40 human trafficking related charges against Thompson, but they were dismissed in 2014 since penalties under the Trafficking and Persons Prevention Act were declared unlawful by the High Court. The act was amended in 2015. Funeral parlors in Jamaica are calling on police protection when they have certain burials to perform. The call follows a fatal shooting at a funeral in Clarendon last week. It was the second fatal shooting at a funeral service in recent times. We get more in this report from Shamela Mitchell of TVJ News.
Recent months, at least 4 persons have been killed after gunmen launched attacks at funeral services. The latest killings took place off Waltham Park Road in St. Andrew just over a week ago. In that incident, the hearse driver, Michael Bent, attached to Tranquility Funeral Home, was killed while carrying out his duties. President of the Funeral Directors Association, Calvin Lynn, describes the incident as unfortunate.
In this particular case where you have mourners arranging to go and have the deceased buried in a dignified way, and these people, heartless people, would attack someone there, it is really appalling.
Managing Director at Honeygan's Funeral Home, Melvin Honeygan, says the funeral business has become a risky business. Mr. Honeygan says they are now fearful about sending their teams out to cover funerals.
It's a very sad situation. A situation that I have never seen or heard of in my 30-odd years of business.
Mr. Honeygan says tighter security measures will have to be put in place to protect workers when they're on duty, in particular when administering some categories of funerals.
I think ourselves and the police have to work a bit closer. We have to start informing the police when we have certain type of deaths and certain funerals and ask them to be present as much as possible to see if we can partner with them to reduce the crime element.
Meanwhile, Mr. Lynn is calling for these attacks to stop.
But I do hope that for the peace and safety of all of us as Jamaicans and citizens overall, that this will be about the last of this kind of nature of attack.
Trinidad and Tobago's Labour Minister has pledged to enact a law that outlaws sexual harassment in the workplace. Jennifer Batiste-Primus launched a stakeholder consultation to discuss a draft national workplace policy on sexual harassment. She expressed concern at the lack of data on sexual harassment in the workplace to ensure analysis and policy guidelines in the Twin Island Republic. Batiste-Primus described sexual harassment as a very delicate issue which can result in unwelcome repercussions if not clinically, objectively and unemotionally debated. We get more in this TV6 news report.
Internationally programmed, the Me Too movement, which was chosen as the Times Person of the Year 2017. Regionally, the Life in Leggings movement grew rapidly throughout the Caribbean. Locally, we have had several issues on the forefront with high-ranking persons in this society.
At that point, the minister could have named an example close to home, her former cabinet colleague Darrell Smith. He was accused of making unwanted advances toward his personal assistant. He's denied those claims. That controversy highlighted the absence of a national policy on workplace sexual harassment. Minister Batiste-Primus says such a policy will protect women and men from being targeted in what should be a safe space. She hopes that policy will evolve to fill a gaping hole in our law books.
No standalone legislation currently exists in Trinidad and Tobago to specifically treat with sexual harassment in the workplace. Matters so far brought before our courts are determined using case law, our constitution, ILO conventions, sections and clauses of existing laws.
The minister recalls the first draft bill was laid 27 years ago in 1996, but gathered dust thereafter. In the meantime, Belize, Barbados and Jamaica surged ahead of TNT, passing specific laws targeting sexual harassment. But even in its early stages, what goes into the policy is already up for debate. At Friday's consultation, speakers said precedent worldwide is for the definition of sexual harassment to be broad. That way, different types of behavior can be covered. Could too much breadth backfire?
If you were to call a woman a mule, but some of you are very young, you probably don't know what a mule is. Calling a woman a mule who is barren, that could be significant, a significant insult, at least in my mother's time and even our time, as someone who can't bear children. That has to do with your gender and your sex, but it's not sexual. So we need to really understand what it is we're really trying to protect.
A lot of the women and men who do not report their sexual harassment say that there's not enough specificity in the definition. Specifically, the word unwelcomed leaves a lot of room for interpretation.
The ministry says it wants to take a diversity of opinions on board before finalizing the national policy.
Still to come in Caribbean Newsline, health officials in Grenada report an outbreak in dengue and gastroenteritis. Stay with us, there's more news after this break.
starts from sunrise, a city filled with an island vibe, music, people, color, friendship, culture, and the warmest of smiles. Come enjoy the unique costumes, pulsating steel pans, exotic culture, exciting fetes, and unforgettable people. Discover Antigua's Carnival, the Caribbean's greatest summer festival, July 27th to August 8th, because the beach really is just the beginning.
Health officials in Grenada are reporting an increase in the incidence of dengue and gastroenteritis for the first 5 months of this year. Statistics show that as of the end of May, there were 107 cases of dengue compared with 45 cases in 2017 and 15 for the same period in 2016. The incidence of gastroenteritis has also increased, with 143 cases for the first 5 months of 2018 compared with 47 in 2017 and 46 in the corresponding period in 2016. Head of Grenada's Epidemiology Unit, Dr. Sean Charles, says the parishes of St. Andrew and St. George's are the hardest hit. The statistics also show that more females are affected by dengue, while more males are falling ill with gastro. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the bodies of 2 people were recovered on Monday, but the search is continuing for 2 others who were swept out to sea while on a beach in southeast of the island on Sunday. 3 children and a man were swept out to sea while bathing at Breakers, which is notorious for its unpredictable and dangerous currents. Civilian divers who turned out to support the efforts of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Coast Guard recovered the bodies of Curtly Daniel and a 10-year-old boy, Jonathan Welcome. The father of the missing boy, Jevron Jr. Phillip, told CMC News the 4 were playing in the water when a wave came suddenly and swept them up. The younger of the Phillips sons and at least 1 other child were saved, reportedly when an adult instructed them to swim towards her, then snatched them from the water. UNESCO recently wrapped up a forum in Cuba on building resilient societies by linking research with the reduction of disaster risks and adaptation to climate change in the Caribbean. At least 14 CARICOM countries participated in the 4-day forum, which was designed to increase regional dialogue on the issues of disaster risk reduction, climate change adaptation, and political will. We get more in this report from Richard of Canal Caribe in Cuba.
Overlapping with the start of the cyclonic season, the International Science School, convoked by UNESCO in Havana, concluded its debate over entailing investigation on the purposes to reduce the risks of disasters and promoting the adaptability to climate change in the Caribbean. The shortage of economic resources, as well as the opportunity of the region to cooperate with countries of the South, are major difficulties to attain that goal.
And I want to applaud UNESCO. In Jamaica, we have the UNESCO rep, Giselle Bourbano, and the Deputy Secretary General, I believe, is here as well. I want to applaud them for putting this together and for bringing us together to have this discussion, and also for having this workshop, which is a way to find the solution. We need to say thank you to the government and people of Cuba for being so warm, for embracing us.
It was reportedly said in the meeting that Cuba is willing to contribute ideas supportively to the members of the Caribbean community, CARICOM, consistent with the reality that identifies them as small island states with equal origins and similar risks. Academicians, scientists, and Caribbean experts of over a dozen Caribbean countries, to which we add Cuba and Puerto Rico, were present in the Caribbean appointment in Havana. During the last working day of the Scientific School of UNESCO, the experts exchanged ideas so as to strengthen policies and to develop capacities. The Caribbean region is highly vulnerable from any point of view, ecological or economical, because most of its cities and settlements are very close to the coasts. These areas receive, with extreme force, frequent impact of natural phenomenon which affects tourism and fishing, just as it has recently happened in Dominica, Grenada, Antigua and Barbuda, Cuba, and others.
This has been a very excellent workshop. So many lessons that I've learned, which we will be able to implement back home. Quite a lot of information has been given as to how we can tackle this problem. And of course, Grenada will implement measures to ensure that we save the coastline, which is receding very fast. Another very important issue that came up is the whole issue of finding financing, grant financing, to at least deal with those problems. And we will continue to work with the experts to at least apply to get those sort of fundings so that at least we can deal with the problems of climate change. Our impact in terms of emission of greenhouse gases is very minimal, but in terms of impact from climate change, we suffer the most. But one of the problems is how can we best respond and deal with those issues without financing? Cuba has been a very good friend of Grenada over the years, and we are extremely happy and delighted that we have been able to maintain such friendship.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, West Indies stars set to headline the inaugural Global T20 in Canada. Stay with us. There's sport right after this break.
Do you wish to combine a vacation with pure laughter? Then St. Martin is the place to be on June 22nd and 23rd for the 14th annual edition of its comedy festival, Laugh Till Belly Burst, with comedians from all over the world. Book hotel and show tickets until June 20th now at www.ltbbsxm.com.
West Indies superstar Chris Gayle, Andre Russell and Devin Lewis are set to headline the inaugural Global T20 Canada. They were snapped up by Vancouver Knights in Sunday's Players Draft. The left-handed Gayle, the world's leading batsman in the game's shortest form, was a first-round pick for the franchise. All-rounder Russell, one of the most sought-after T20 players, was picked up in the second round. The left-handed Lewis, who is relatively new to international cricket, was claimed in the third round. Vancouver Knights also selected Test West Indies T20 wicketkeeper batsman Chadwick Walton, left-arm pacer Sheldon Cottrell and talented Bermudan all-rounder Camu Liverock. Toronto Nationals will also boast a star-studded lineup with two-time T20 World Cup winning captain Darren Sammy, big-hitting Kieran Pollard, Seamer Kesrick Williams and Johnson Charles. Winnipeg Hawks will have the Bravo brothers, Dwayne and Darren, in their ranks, along with Trinidad and Windies player Lyndall Simmons and Riyad Emrit and former West Indies speedster Fidel Edwards. Star West Indies off-spinner Sunil Narayan will headline the Montreal Tigers squad and will be joined by fellow Trinidadian Dennis Ramdin. The Global T20 Canada season will run from June 28th to July 15th and features 6 teams. 5 squads were chosen at Sunday's draft, while the 6th and all-stars side comprising Caribbean players exclusively will be announced shortly. Distinguished academic and cricket historian Professor Sir Hilary Beckles believes the tide is turning in West Indies cricket and the excellence of the current generation could lead to a revival of the former world champions. Speaking during a public lecture series entitled Fire in Babylon, Cricket as a Popular Culture, Sir Hilary pointed out that there was a new consciousness in the young generation of current Windies cricketers, and they were now attempting to reconnect with previous high standards of excellence. He also argued that the development of Caribbean society and West Indies' success were intertwined, and once societal issues in the region were addressed, he could foresee the emergence of a strong Windies side in 7 to 8 years. On to football now. There was no scoring on either side as Barbados and Belize faced each other in a friendly international on Sunday, and it was exactly what the hosts didn't need. The Bajan Tridents were amid 2 wins in their last 7 matches as they prepared for the upcoming CONCACAF Nationals League, needed nothing less than victory against their Central American opponents who sit 11 places beneath them. But that was not to be, as the game at the Wilde ended in a draw, with neither side managing to score despite several chances. Here are the highlights.
Just outside the 18-yard box, here's Jules, the captain of the Barbados team, wearing the captain's armband on the left hand, and he has Mario Williams for company. Jules 8, Williams 6. Here's Williams over it. Jules with the shot, and he's over the crossbar by just about a yard. Not really troubling goalkeeper Woodrow. The midfield, he goes to an inside left. Barbados will need to defend a defense strongly. Good change ball. Switch it back to the left-hand side. Automatically, some defensive work is required. Elroy Cullen in towards the inside right, and the right foot volley about to be deployed there, Keith, by Jared Dave. Ball into the face of the defender there. Ricochets off. Good cover challenge from Covington, but he loses possession. Belize now, that's a 180 turn. A sweet pass towards the 18-yard box. Out comes Primus with the brilliant save. In on goal was Davis, but there's Primus with a brilliant save with his fellow BDF man in Bailey. The little 1-2 played with Primus. 40-yard pass over to this right-hand side. It's a good one. Finds Sargent. He gets on his bike towards the 18-yard box, and the cross doesn't have the quality to reach Lashley, the ace marksman in the BFA Ball Association's call to support the national team, and they've done just that. This is 5 touches together. Barbados going across the left-hand side. Leading ball played in towards the midfield. This Harris plays the tickle pass towards the shot coming in from Armando Sugar Lashley on 29 minutes. Almost.
To be honest, it was always going agonizingly wide of Weiss left post, but better football there in that movement from Barbados.
So Jules, captain, into Sargent, plays the return ball. Jules will use his right foot to curl one. For the attacking header comes off the top of his head. Lashley from here, and then cleared into the night sky. Ball retrieved by Williams. Over this time to Hinkson, US-based player. Back inside to Hinkson again. Square ball, and the right foot shot over the crossbar from Sargent from 12 yards out. He's consider it a set play as Bailey goes to join the 4 men in the 18-yard box. Ball across the 18-yard box again. It's the clearance made. Some good defensive tackles, but not very convincing. And then towards the 6-yard box.
Make another substitution because they have lost the way momentarily in the second half. And if Barbados is going to become a strong force again in the region, Barbados would have to beat teams like Belize, and this is a good opportunity to give yourself some confidence. Good cross coming in, good defensive work though from the Belize defense.
Yeah, solid defensive work by
He was going wide, and I would not be surprised if he will be substituted and bring a new player in who maybe can hit the target, but surely this is an opportunity for Barbados to take the advantage and get a goal because Belize continue to make mistake after mistake.
There's Jules with the right foot shot coming in, and West equal to the task on 72 minutes. Triangle then. Cut out at the back. Away goes Barbados now looking for runners. Jules inside. And it's a leading ball played to the inside. Chance for Jules' left foot! And off the keeper's legs on 89 minutes.
And to athletics now, Olympic star Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce didn't get a comeback victory on her return to competition after finishing second in the 100 meters at the Cayman Invitational over the weekend. But two fellow Jamaicans, Leanne Nugget and former world youth champion Christopher Taylor, both won their events at the sixth staging of the event at Truman Borden Sports Complex in Grand Cayman. We get more from Trishana McGowan of TVJ Sport.
Excited the fair-sized gathering with a well-timed run to outfox his senior rivals, including compatriots Javon Francis and Rashid McDonald in the international men's 400 meters. Taylor posted a new personal best of 45.24 seconds to finish ahead of American champ Page 45.35 and Francis 45.60.
So first 400 since February, so the coach gave me a responsibility out there, and that is the big boy running with. Made out the first 30 meter, travel down the back stretch unit there. Close on me, I should just keep on got my own race. And that's what I did. I came in straight, stay tall, and I came victorious.
Meanwhile, Leah Nugent landed the women's 400-meter hurdles in a season's best 54.76 seconds, beating compatriots Ristanana Tracy 55.38 and Yannick Hay-Smith 55.74, who also posted season's best efforts.
Execution, I mean, it wasn't perfect. Of course, there's always things I can improve on. I didn't stick to my normal pattern, kind of messed it up, but I've really been working on hurdles 9 and 10, and I think today it finally came together, so I'm happy with that.
Elsewhere, joint national record holder Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce made a return to international competition with a second place finish in the women's 100 meters in a season's best 11.33 seconds, with the event going to American Jenna Prendini in 11.16.
I felt really good, and I just have to, say I'm blessed. Because to come out here and to run 11.3, it just gets better and better. And the last time I ran in Kingston a couple weeks ago, I ran 11.5, and today I was able to run 11.3, so I'm really excited about the progress.
Meanwhile, Taekwondo Tracy was the top-placed Jamaican in the men's 100 meters, posting 10.23 seconds for the runner-up spot, while compatriot Nestor Carter was third in a season's best 10.28 seconds. Ahead of Andy Whaley Wright of Trinidad and Tobago, 7.75 meters, and veteran Caymanian Carl Morgan, 6.80 meters.
And that's the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Barbados, renowned for its pristine beachfront and fantastic weather, continues to leave quite an impression on newcomers to the island and returning visitors. The Caribbean island, quite popular as a vacation hotspot, is not only beautiful due to its natural aesthetics. The island of Barbados continues to grow in popularity because of unique connections developed with our people, our culture. We can't wait to welcome you.
It starts from sunrise, a city filled with an island vibe, music, people, color, friendship, culture, and the warmest of smiles. Come enjoy the unique costumes, pulsating steel pans, exotic culture, exciting fetes, and unforgettable people. Discover Antigua's Carnival, the Caribbean's greatest summer festival, July 27th to August 8th, because the beach really is just the beginning.
Next time on MTV Sugar.
You go begin to hear some kind of stories about me.
What kind of stories?
Confirm my statement, and everybody moves on.
Did you not see the victim right after the incident?
I don't want to put anybody in trouble, though. It's about Miss Yasmin.
About, we leave for Kano right now. It's over. Forget it.
Again, the major developments of this day. A regional credit ratings firm gives Barbados a downgrade after the newly elected government announces a debt restructuring plan. And in sport, West Indies stars to headline the inaugural Global T20 Canada after being picked up in a players' draft. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, log on to cornernews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and do have yourselves a good night.